My stepdaughter wants her deadbeat dad to walk her down the aisle after I paid for everything. I've raised my girlfriend's daughter since she was 13, 10 years, paid for college, $40,000, bought her car. She's lived rent-free with us since graduation. Her biological father, deadbeat, never paid support, disappears for years, shows up with empty promises, vanishes again, but she worships him. I'm paying for this entire wedding. Venue holds 250. I asked for 20 spots. My family, close friends. No problem, they said. Saturday, I ran into one of those friends at golf. Are you coming to the wedding? I asked. Wasn't invited. Got an announcement, not an invitation. He showed me. My name wasn't even on it. Just her mother's and her deadbeat father's. None of my 20 people made the cut. 250 is tight, my girlfriend explained. Maybe if some don't RSVP. My guests could be squeezed in as second choices. Sunday dinner. Surprise guest, deadbeat dad. My stepdaughter stands, beaming. Dad's going to make it. He can walk me down the aisle. Everyone cheered. Wonderful. Perfect. I sat there shaking. This man who abandoned her, who I replaced in every way except biology, was getting the honor I'd earned. I stood up. I'd like to make a toast. Thank you for showing me my position in this family. I'm an ATM. Good for money, nothing else. Since I've been replaced as father of the bride, I'm resigning my financial duties to my successor, real dad. He can pay for this wedding. I walked out. My girlfriend followed, screaming I'd humiliated them, that I was being petty, that it's just walking down the aisle. I paid for her entire life and can't invite my own family to the wedding I'm funding. The venue has room for every distant cousin of his, but not 20 people from the man paying. Her daughter texted, not to apologize, to call me manipulative. Said real dad deserves this because he's her actual father. Your actual father who never bought you food, clothes, education. Money isn't love. No, but absence isn't love either. The wedding's in 3 weeks. Balance due Monday, $20,000. They asked deadbeat dad to pay. He laughed. Don't have that kind of money. Shocked, I'm sure. Now everyone's calling. I'm ruining everything. Should pay for family. The family that didn't include me on the invitation. The family that cheered when I was replaced. My stepdaughter posted on Facebook that I'm financially blackmailing her because I'm jealous of her real dad. My girlfriend gave me an ultimatum. Pay or move out. We're not married. The house is mine. You want me to pay $20,000 to be disrespected? You want to be appreciated for everything. Yes, for raising another man's child, funding her life, and paying for a wedding where I'm not acknowledged as family. Apparently, that's selfish. But this morning, everything changed. Deadbeat dad showed up at my door, alone. We need to talk. Nothing to discuss. Just hear me out. I let him in. He sat down, rubbing his face. I can't walk her down the aisle. Can't or won't. Can't. I'm going back to prison. My jaw dropped. What? Violated parole. Got caught with drugs. I have to report Monday. Looking at 5 years minimum. Does she know? No. That's why I'm here. I need you to pay for the wedding and walk her down the aisle. Tell her I had an emergency. Don't tell her about prison. Are you insane? Please. She's built this fantasy about me. If she finds out, the fantasy you created by popping in and out, making promises, I know I'm a fuck-up, but you've been her real father. You know it. I know it. Then why didn't you say that at dinner? Pride. Stupid pride. But I'm begging you now. Get out. I'll sign something. Legal documents saying you're her father. Adoption papers. Whatever you want. 10 years too late. She doesn't know about my record. The drugs. The other kids I have that I don't support. She doesn't know any of it. Other kids? 3 others. Different mothers. She thinks she's my only child. My special girl. He pulled out his phone. Showed me messages from my stepdaughter. Years of her begging him to love her. To show up. To be there. Him responding just enough to keep her hoping. I'm a piece of shit. But you're not. Don't punish her for my failures. You want me to pay for the wedding? Walk her down the aisle and lie about where you are? Yes. No. He stood up to leave. Then turned back. She's been calling venues all morning. They're threatening to sue. The caterer wants to cancel. Your girlfriend's been crying nonstop. Not my problem anymore. He laughed bitterly. You're right, but here's what you don't know. Your girlfriend already paid the venue. Took out a loan. $20,000. Used your house as collateral. Forged your signature. My blood went cold. I stand there staring at the door he just walked through. My phone feels heavy in my hand. The numbers blur when I try to focus on the screen. I dial the bank's customer service line. My fingers keep missing the right buttons. The hold music makes my head pound. A woman answers after what feels like an hour but is probably 3 minutes. I ask about loans on my property. She puts me on hold again. The silence is worse than the music. My leg won't stop bouncing. She comes back and confirms a loan was processed 3 weeks ago, $20,000. My house as collateral. The signature matched their records well enough to pass. I tell her to freeze everything right now. She says she needs to transfer me to fraud department. More hold music. A man answers this time. I explain that I never signed anything. He asks security questions. Date of birth, social security number, mother's maiden name. He says he'll email copies of all documents within the hour. I need to come in tomorrow to file a formal dispute. My hands shake so bad I almost drop the phone when I hang up. I scroll through my contacts until I find Liam. My brother answers on the second ring. I tell him everything in one long rush of words. The wedding disaster, the biological father showing up, the forged loan. Liam swears loud enough that I hear his co-workers laughing in the background. He tells me to get a lawyer immediately, like today, right now. He says I can stay at his place as long as I need. Things are about to get ugly. I thank him and hang up. My email dings. The bank documents are already here. I open the attachment on my phone. The signature looks close to mine. Too close. She practiced this. Planned it. The date stamp shows she did this the day after I walked out of that dinner. While I was at work thinking we might still work this out, she was committing fraud. My girlfriend's car pulls into the driveway at 5:30. I'm sitting at the kitchen table with the documents printed out in front of me. She walks in smiling like nothing's wrong, asks how my day was. I hold up the papers without saying anything. Her face goes white, actually white, like all the blood just drained out. She drops her purse. It hits the floor and spills everything. Lipstick rolls under the table. She starts crying immediately. Big gulping sobs. She says she did it for her daughter. She was going to tell me after the wedding. I just stare at her. She keeps talking through the tears. The venue deposits were non-refundable. The caterer had already ordered all the food. She panicked when I withdrew funding. She thought if she could just get the money and make the wedding happen, I'd forgive her eventually. She'd pay it back somehow. She didn't know what else to do. I tell her she committed fraud, forgery. This isn't about the money anymore. This is about her willingness to steal from me, to risk my house, to forge my signature on legal documents. She keeps saying she was desperate. She didn't see another way. Her daughter's happiness meant everything. I stand up. The chair scrapes loud against the floor. I tell her I'm done listening to excuses. She reaches for my arm, but I pull away. I walk past her to the bedroom. She follows me crying, begging. I pull my suitcase from the closet, start throwing clothes in. She asks where I'm going. I don't answer. Just keep packing. Toothbrush, razor, phone charger, the essentials. She's still crying when I walk out with my bag. I don't look back. Liam opens his door before I finish knocking. He takes one look at my face and steps aside. His apartment smells like paint and sawdust. He pours 2 glasses of whiskey without asking. We sit at his small kitchen table. I tell him everything from the beginning. The wedding invitation without my name. The Sunday dinner ambush. The biological father's prison confession. The forged loan. Liam doesn't interrupt once, just listens and refills my glass when it's empty. When I finish talking, he slides a business card across the table. Victor Bentley, divorce attorney who also handles fraud cases. Liam used him 3 years ago for a contract dispute. Says the guy is sharp and doesn't mess around. I put the card in my wallet. Monday morning, I call Victor's office at 9. The receptionist sounds bored until I mention fraud and forged documents. She puts me on hold. Victor picks up 30 seconds later. His voice is rough, like he smokes too much. I explain the situation as clearly as I can. He asks if I have copies of the documents. I tell him yes. He says come in at 2. He'll squeeze me in. I thank him and hang up. The hours until 2 crawl by. I sit in Liam's apartment staring at the wall. My phone keeps buzzing. My girlfriend calling. I don't answer. At 1:30, I drive to Victor's office downtown. The building is old but well maintained. His office is on the 3rd floor. Dark wood furniture. Law books lining the walls. He's older than I expected. Maybe 60. Gray hair. Sharp eyes. He shakes my hand and tells me to sit. I hand him the documents. He puts on reading glasses and studies each page. Takes his time. Makes notes on a yellow legal pad. After 10 minutes, he looks up. Points to 3 spots on the signature page. Says a handwriting expert will easily catch these inconsistencies. The pressure is wrong. The angle is off. One letter loops differently than it should. He explains I need to file a police report immediately. Today, if possible. I also need to notify the bank in writing that I'm disputing the loan as fraudulent. He can draft that letter right now. I nod. He types on his computer for a few minutes, prints out a letter, hands it to me, tells me to sign it, mail it certified with return receipt, keep copies of everything. Then he explains the next steps: police report, bank investigation, possible criminal charges. I ask how long this takes. He shrugs, says months probably, maybe longer, depends on how cooperative she is. Tuesday morning I drive to the police station. The building is gray concrete, smells like coffee and cleaning products. I tell the officer at the front desk I need to file a fraud report. She directs me to a desk in the back. The detective who takes my statement is younger than me, maybe 30. He listens to the whole story, takes notes, asks questions. When I explain the wedding situation, he actually looks sympathetic. Says financial fraud between partners is more common than people think. Most people don't report it because they're embarrassed or still have feelings for the person. But the fact that she forged documents makes this serious, real serious. He types up my statement, makes me read it twice, sign at the bottom, gives me a case number, says someone from the fraud unit will contact me within a week. I thank him and leave. My phone has 23 missed calls, 12 voicemails. I delete them all without listening. My girlfriend calls 17 times Tuesday. I watch my phone light up over and over on Liam's coffee table. Each time it buzzes, I feel a twist in my stomach, but I don't answer. The voicemails pile up. I listen to the first two. Her voice swings between apologetic and angry so fast it gives me whiplash. She says I'm destroying her daughter's life over a misunderstanding, that she was going to pay it back, that I'm being cruel and vindictive. The third voicemail is just crying. The fourth is her screaming that I'm ruining everything. I delete the rest without listening. Liam makes coffee and doesn't ask questions. He just sits across from me and waits until I'm ready to talk. I tell him everything else can wait. Wednesday morning, the bank calls. A woman named Adeline Ross introduces herself as the fraud investigator assigned to my case. Her voice is clipped and professional. No sympathy, no judgment, just facts. She wants to meet that afternoon to review the documents and take my statement. I agree and write down the address. She's in a different building than the main bank branch. When I arrive, the office is small and plain. Gray walls, metal desk. Adeline is maybe 40 with short dark hair and reading glasses. She shakes my hand once, firm grip, then sits down and opens a folder. She asks me to walk through the timeline, when I discovered the loan, what my girlfriend told me, whether I had any knowledge of it beforehand. I answer everything as clearly as I can. She takes notes on a laptop, typing fast. When I finish, she looks up and explains the next steps. The bank will pursue charges independently, since they were defrauded too. My girlfriend could face felony charges depending on what the prosecutor decides. Adeline says these cases usually take months to resolve. She'll keep me updated as things progress. I thank her and leave feeling both relieved and exhausted. Thursday morning, Adeline calls again. She mentions her sister Jasmine works financial crimes for the police department and got assigned to investigate my case. The sisters are coordinating their efforts. Adeline says this is actually good for me because they'll be thorough and efficient. They know how to work together. I call Victor to let him know, and he agrees it's a positive development. He says having investigators who communicate well will speed things up and strengthen the case. I hang up and try to focus on normal life. Liam convinces me to go for a run with him. We jog through the neighborhood in silence. The physical activity helps clear my head for a while. Wednesday afternoon, I'm at Liam's when he gets a call from our neighbor across the street from my house. 2 squad cars just pulled up. Detectives are knocking on the door. Liam tells me this while I'm eating a sandwich. I freeze mid-bite. Part of me wants to drive over there. The other part knows I shouldn't. Liam agrees I should stay away and let the police do their job. He goes over himself to check on things and calls me an hour later. The detectives interviewed my girlfriend for over an hour, collected documents, took her laptop. The squad cars sitting on the street caused quite a scene with the neighbors. Everyone came out to watch. Liam says my girlfriend looked completely broken when they finally left. I feel a flash of guilt, but push it down. She did this to herself. My phone rings Friday afternoon. My stepdaughter's name lights up the screen. I consider not answering, but something makes me pick up. She starts screaming before I can say hello. Her voice is so loud I have to hold the phone away from my ear. She says I'm trying to put her mother in jail right before her wedding, that I'm vindictive and cruel and heartless. I let her yell for 2 minutes straight. She barely takes a breath. When she finally pauses, I speak quietly. I ask if she knew her mother forged my signature to steal $20,000 using my house as collateral. The question hangs in the air. The silence stretches so long I think she hung up. Then I hear her breathing, shaky and uneven. She didn't know the details, just her mother's version about borrowing money. I explain exactly what fraud means, what forgery means, that her mother committed actual crimes, multiple crimes. I tell her I'm the victim here regardless of wedding timing, that I didn't create this situation. Her mother did. My voice stays calm and level the whole time. I'm not angry anymore, just tired. She starts crying, not the angry crying from before. This sounds different, broken. She says everything is falling apart. Her dad is gone again. Now her mom might go to jail. The wedding is canceled. The venue is threatening to sue. Everything she planned is destroyed. I feel a twist of sympathy in my chest, but I push it away. I remind myself that I didn't create this mess. Her mother and her biological father did. I tell her I'm sorry she's hurting, but I can't fix this for her. She needs to talk to her mother about why she made these choices. Then I hang up. My hands are shaking. Saturday morning, Caleb calls. He heard through mutual friends that something major went down. He wants to know if I'm okay. I give him the basic outline: the forged loan, the fraud investigation, the wedding cancellation. Caleb is silent for a moment when I finish. Then he gets angry on my behalf. His voice rises as he says he never understood why I wasn't on that wedding invitation in the first place, that it was disrespectful from the start. He offers to take me out for drinks that night, just get out of Liam's apartment for a while. I agree because sitting around thinking about everything is making me crazy. Thursday afternoon, my phone rings with an unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. A woman introduces herself as Dawn McHugh, the wedding venue manager. Her voice is careful and professional. She says she heard about the fraud investigation and wants to clarify the venue's position. They have to pursue payment for the unpaid balance. It's not personal, just business. But she understands this is complicated. She sounds genuinely uncomfortable about the whole situation. I tell her I understand and that I'm not responsible for my girlfriend's debts. Dawn agrees and says her lawyer told her the same thing. She apologizes for the awkwardness and wishes me luck. Before we hang up, Dawn mentions something else. My girlfriend has been calling the venue constantly, multiple times a day. Sometimes she's begging for payment plans. Other times she's threatening to sue them for discrimination. Dawn sounds exhausted. She admits she's been in the event business for 15 years and has never had a wedding situation get this messy before. She asks if I have any advice for handling my girlfriend. I almost laugh. I tell Dawn to document everything and let her lawyer deal with it. Then I hang up and sit there staring at the wall. This whole situation just keeps getting worse. Victor's office smells like old coffee and paper when I meet with him Thursday afternoon. He leans back in his chair and taps his pen against the desk while I explain Dawn's call about the venue pursuing payment. Victor shakes his head and tells me to stay completely out of it. My girlfriend signed those contracts, not me. She's the one who owes the venue money. If I get involved now, it just makes the fraud case more complicated and gives her lawyers ammunition to claim I knew about the loan. He writes down some notes and says the venue has every right to sue her for the unpaid balance. That's between them and her. My job is to focus on the criminal case and let everything else play out naturally. I leave his office feeling lighter somehow, one less thing to worry about. Friday morning, my phone rings while I'm making coffee at Liam's place. Adeline's voice is all business when I answer. The handwriting analysis came back from their expert. Definitive forgery. The signatures don't match at all, and whoever tried to copy mine did a pretty bad job. The bank is moving forward with pressing charges. She's already sent everything to the district attorney's office, and they're reviewing it for prosecution. Adeline says I should expect a call from a prosecutor within a few days. She sounds almost apologetic when she tells me this is going to get worse before it gets better. I thank her and hang up. My hands shake a little as I pour my coffee. This is really happening. Criminal charges, court, the whole thing. Friday evening, I'm watching TV with Liam when someone starts pounding on his front door. We both freeze. Liam gets up and looks through the peephole, then turns back to me with raised eyebrows. It's my girlfriend. She's crying and yelling something about needing to talk. Liam doesn't open the door. He stands there with his arms crossed and tells her through the wood that if she wants to talk, she can do it from out there. I can hear everything she's saying. She's desperate now. Her voice cracks and breaks between sobs. She says if I drop the charges, she'll sign over her car, her savings account, anything I want. She'll make it right. She promises she'll make it right. Liam looks at me and I shake my head. He stays by the door. I walk over and stand a few feet back from the door. I tell her I can't drop charges the bank is pursuing. Even if I wanted to, it's out of my hands now. The bank was defrauded too. They're the ones pressing charges. But even if I could drop them, I wouldn't. She crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. She committed actual crimes against me, forged my signature, used my house as collateral without my knowledge or permission. She violated my trust in the most basic, fundamental way possible. There's no coming back from that. I hear her slide down the door. Her crying gets louder and more broken. She stays there for almost 20 minutes. At first, she keeps trying to argue, keeps saying she was desperate and didn't know what else to do. But slowly, her voice changes. The excuses stop. She starts admitting she knows she destroyed everything. She doesn't know how to fix it. She says it over and over. I destroyed everything. I don't know how to fix it. For the first time since this whole mess started, she's not making excuses or blaming me. She's just acknowledging reality, what she actually did, the crimes she committed, the trust she broke. I stand there listening and feel something twist in my chest. Not forgiveness, just sadness that it came to this. Liam finally opens the door. My girlfriend is sitting on the porch with her back against the door frame. Her makeup is running down her face and her hands are shaking. Liam tells her she can sit on the porch, but I'm staying inside. She nods and doesn't try to come in. She looks up at Liam and starts talking. Her voice is quiet now, defeated. She tells him she panicked when I withdrew wedding funding. Her daughter's happiness felt more important than anything else, more important than my rights, more important than our relationship, more important than basic honesty. She thought if she could just make the wedding happen, somehow everything would work out. I watch from the window. She's staring at her hands while she talks. She keeps explaining to Liam how she thought it would all be fine. She never considered I'd find out before she could pay the loan back. She didn't think about the fact that forging documents was a serious crime. In her mind, it was just a desperate measure to solve a problem. She thought she'd make the wedding happen, then figure out how to pay back the $20,000 over time, maybe take on extra shifts at work, maybe sell some things. She never thought past making her daughter happy, never considered the consequences, never thought about how I'd feel when I found out. Liam stands there listening with his arms crossed. He doesn't look sympathetic, just lets her talk. After she leaves, Liam comes back inside and sits down next to me. He's quiet for a minute, just staring at the TV that's still playing on mute. Then he says, she seems genuinely sorry about what she did, really remorseful, but that doesn't change anything. Remorse doesn't undo fraud, doesn't undo forgery, doesn't give me back the trust she broke. He points out something I hadn't fully thought about before. Her willingness to commit fraud shows she never really saw me as an equal partner, just as a resource to be used. When I wouldn't provide that resource willingly, she took it by force. That's not how you treat someone you love and respect. That's how you treat an ATM. I sit with that thought for a long time after Liam goes to bed. The following Monday, I get a call from Victor. The district attorney's office formally charged my girlfriend with forgery and fraud, 2 felony counts. Victor explains she'll probably be offered a plea deal since she has no criminal record, and the circumstances are unusual. Most first-time offenders in financial fraud cases get probation and restitution rather than jail time. But it depends on the prosecutor and the judge. He says I should prepare for court appearances and testimony. This is going to take months to fully resolve. I thank him and hang up. Then I just sit there. Criminal charges. My girlfriend of 10 years facing felony charges because she couldn't accept my decision to stop funding a wedding where I wasn't even acknowledged as family. My phone buzzes with a text from my stepdaughter. It's long, really long. I almost don't read it because I'm so tired of the drama, but something makes me open it anyway. The tone is different right from the start, more mature than anything I've heard from her before. She says she's been doing a lot of thinking since everything fell apart. She acknowledges that she took me for granted. All those years I raised her, paid for everything, treated her like my own daughter. She never really appreciated it, just expected it. She says her mother made terrible choices, criminal choices. She's starting to understand how badly they both treated me, how they used me and disrespected me while expecting me to keep paying for everything. She doesn't ask me to drop charges or pay for anything, just says she's sorry and wishes she'd appreciated what I did for her over the years. I read it 3 times. Then I set my phone down and stare at the wall. It's the first genuine apology I've received from anyone in this whole mess. I pick up my phone and read the message again. She's not making excuses or blaming me. She's just saying sorry and that she wishes things had been different. Something shifts in my chest, like a door opening that I didn't know was locked. I stare at the screen for a long time before I start typing. I tell her I appreciate what she said and that I never stopped caring about her. But I also tell her I need space to figure out my own life now. She texts back within a minute saying she understands and she'll respect my boundaries. She hopes someday we can talk again. I set my phone down and lean back on Liam's couch. It's the first real conversation we've had in weeks that didn't involve accusations or demands. Tuesday morning, my phone rings with a number I don't recognize. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. It's the biological father calling from jail. I can hear other voices in the background and the hollow echo of a prison phone. He says he heard about the fraud charges against my girlfriend and he feels responsible. His voice sounds different from when he showed up at my door, quieter and more tired. He says his prison revelation is what triggered her panic and made her do something desperate. I tell him he's not responsible for her choices. She's an adult who decided to commit crimes rather than face the consequences of the situation. He's quiet for a moment, and I can hear him breathing. Then he says he hopes I can eventually forgive his daughter for being young and stupid, even if I can't forgive him or her mother. I don't respond to that. I just tell him to take care of himself and hang up. Wednesday morning, I'm drinking coffee at Liam's kitchen table when my phone rings. It's the venue manager. She sounds apologetic but firm when she tells me they're officially canceling the wedding and beginning legal proceedings against my girlfriend for the unpaid balance. They have no choice because they've already spent money on deposits and preparations. She says she's sorry it came to this, but her hands are tied. I tell her I understand and thank her for letting me know. After I hang up, Liam asks what that was about. I explain the venue situation, and he just shakes his head. He says this whole thing keeps getting messier. Thursday afternoon, Jasmine calls with an update. She says my girlfriend's lawyer has been negotiating a plea deal with the prosecutor. They're offering probation, restitution, and community service if she pleads guilty to reduced charges. It would keep her out of jail. Jasmine explains the terms in detail and asks if I have any objections. I tell her I don't. I just want this resolved so I can move on with my life. I call Victor after I hang up with Jasmine. He says the plea deal is reasonable and I'll get my restitution faster than if we wait for a trial. He asks if I want to support the plea agreement. I tell him yes, not because I forgive her, but because I want this finished. He says he'll notify the prosecutor's office that I'm in agreement. Thursday afternoon, Victor calls to tell me my girlfriend accepted the plea deal. She pleaded guilty to fraud and forgery charges in court that morning. The judge ordered her to pay full restitution, complete 200 hours of community service, and serve 3 years probation. Victor says the restitution payments will start within 30 days and the bank is satisfied with the outcome. I thank him and sit there processing the information. It's really over. The legal part anyway. Friday morning, Victor sends me an eviction notice to review. As part of the plea agreement, my girlfriend has to move out of my house within 30 days. Victor says we need everything legally documented, even though she's already basically moved out. I read through the paperwork and sign it. He says he'll have it served officially next week. Saturday morning, I drive back to my house for the first time in 2 weeks. Liam offered to come with me, but I told him I needed to do this alone. I unlock the front door and step inside. Everything looks the same, but feels completely different. Her coat is still hanging by the door. Her shoes are lined up in the entryway. The kitchen counter has her coffee mug sitting next to the sink. I walk through the room slowly, taking in all the familiar things that suddenly feel like they belong to someone else's life. Her stuff is everywhere, but the space already feels empty, knowing she won't be coming back. I stand in the living room where we used to watch TV together and try to remember what that felt like. It seems like years ago, instead of weeks. I pick up a framed photo of the 3 of us from a vacation we took 2 years ago. Everyone's smiling. I set it face down on the shelf and head back outside. Liam shows up Saturday morning with coffee and moving boxes. We start in the bedroom, pulling her clothes from the closet and folding them into neat stacks. Each item feels weird in my hands, like I'm sorting through a stranger's belongings instead of someone I lived with for years. Her favorite sweater that she wore every Sunday, the dress she bought for our anniversary dinner last year, the shoes lined up by the bed that I tripped over 100 times. We work in silence mostly, just the sound of cardboard scraping and hangers clinking. Liam doesn't ask questions or try to make conversation, just helps me pack up 10 years of shared life into boxes that we carry down to the garage. By afternoon, we've got everything stacked along the back wall, labeled and organized so she can load it whenever she's ready. I stand there looking at the boxes and realize this is really happening. She's actually moving out. My phone buzzes with a text from my stepdaughter asking if she can come by to help her mom. I stare at the message for a minute before typing back that she can come over. Avoiding each other forever isn't realistic, even if part of me wants to never see either of them again. She arrives an hour later, and I barely recognize her. She's lost weight and has dark circles under her eyes that make her look 10 years older than she is. We say hello awkwardly, and then start loading boxes into her car without talking much. The silence feels heavy and uncomfortable, both of us carefully not mentioning anything important. After the third trip to her car, she stops and just stands there in the garage. She tells me she canceled the wedding completely, not postponed, canceled. Her fiancé's family was understanding, but she realized she needed to figure out her own life before getting married. I nod and keep loading boxes because I don't know what to say to that. She keeps talking, explaining that she got a job at an office downtown and found an apartment with 2 roommates. She needs to learn how to support herself instead of depending on other people to take care of her. I set down the box I'm holding and tell her that sounds like a good plan, that I'm proud of her for taking responsibility. Her eyes get watery, but she doesn't cry, just nods and picks up another box. We finish loading her car, and she stands by the driver's door like she wants to say something but can't find the words. Then she steps forward and hugs me tight, whispering that she's sorry for everything, that she loves me even though she did a terrible job of showing it. I hug her back and feel something crack open in my chest that I've been keeping locked down for weeks. I tell her I love her too, but I need time before we can rebuild any kind of relationship. She says she understands and gets in her car. I watch her drive away and then go back inside where Liam is waiting. Tuesday afternoon, my girlfriend shows up to collect the rest of her things. We barely speak beyond me pointing out which boxes are hers and her nodding. She looks exhausted, with her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail and no makeup. I don't feel the anger I expected, just this deep sadness about how everything fell apart so completely. She signs the paperwork Victor prepared that releases any claim to my house or property. Victor came over specifically to witness the signature and make sure everything is legal. As she's walking toward the door with the last box, she turns around and looks at me. She says she's sorry for destroying what we had, that she knows she'll regret her choices for the rest of her life. I tell her I hope she gets help and figures out better ways to handle pressure. Then I close the door and lock it. Liam stays with me that evening, and we order pizza and watch basketball on TV without talking about any of it. Just sitting there eating and watching the game like normal people having a normal night. March brings the first restitution payment, a small amount deducted automatically from my girlfriend's paycheck. Adeline calls to confirm the bank received it and considers the case closed from their perspective. The money doesn't matter as much as knowing this whole legal mess is actually finished. I start reclaiming my house room by room, painting the bedroom a different color and rearranging furniture so everything doesn't remind me of her. Caleb and some other guys from golf start coming over regularly to watch games and hang out. The house slowly begins to feel like mine again, instead of this space haunted by memories of someone else. April rolls around, and I find a white envelope in my mailbox with handwriting I recognize right away. Inside is a check for $500 and a note on plain paper explaining that this is just the start, that she's putting aside money every month to pay me back for college and everything else, even though it will take years. I stare at the check for a long time, not sure what to feel about this. The amount isn't much compared to what I spent, but the gesture hits different from I expected. I pick up my phone and call her number, and she answers on the second ring. I tell her straight out that she doesn't need to pay me back, that raising her was something I chose to do freely without expecting repayment. She goes quiet for a few seconds before saying she wants to do this anyway, that it helps her feel less guilty and more like she's taking responsibility for her part in everything that happened. We talk for maybe 10 minutes total, keeping things simple and not diving into heavy topics. After we hang up, I put the check on my desk and leave it there for 2 days before finally depositing it. She texts me a week later, asking if I want to meet for coffee, and I agree, even though I'm nervous about how awkward it might be. We start meeting once a month at a place halfway between our locations, having these careful conversations where neither of us pushes too hard on sensitive subjects. She tells me about her job doing data entry at some company downtown, about her 2 roommates who leave dishes in the sink and play music too loud. I share updates about fixing up the house and getting back into my golf routine, but I never mention her mother, and she doesn't ask. The coffee meetings feel strange at first, like we're learning how to talk to each other all over again, but they get easier each time. May arrives and I notice I'm feeling more normal than I have in months. The house belongs completely to me again, with all her stuff gone and new paint on the walls. My bank account is slowly building back up from the restitution payments, and I've been hanging out with Caleb and the other guys from golf more regularly. They invite me to things without me having to ask, and I actually want to go instead of making excuses. One Saturday morning, Caleb calls to ask if I want to join a weekend golf trip with some of the guys. Just 3 days of playing courses up north and staying at a lodge. I say yes, without even thinking about it first, and after I hang up, I realize I'm actually excited about something for the first time since everything exploded. I'm looking forward to the trip instead of just getting through each day. The weekend comes and we drive up Friday afternoon, 4 of us packed into Caleb's truck with our clubs rattling in the back. The lodge is nothing fancy, but it's clean and quiet, surrounded by pine trees and 2 different golf courses. We play terrible golf all weekend, losing balls in the woods and laughing when someone's shot goes completely sideways. Nobody brings up the wedding disaster or asks how I'm doing in that concerned way people have been using. They just treat me like I'm still the same person I was before, which helps me remember that I actually am. We stay up late playing cards and drinking beer, and I sleep better those 3 nights than I have in weeks. Sunday afternoon on the drive home, I feel lighter somehow, like I left something heavy behind at that lodge. I get back to find another envelope from my stepdaughter waiting on my porch. This one has photos printed from her phone showing her small apartment with its mismatched furniture and plants on the windowsill. She included a note talking about her roommates and their cat, about starting to save money for real furniture instead of the stuff from thrift stores. Reading it, I feel genuinely happy for her that she's building an actual life for herself instead of drifting along waiting for other people to take care of her. I text her back, saying the apartment looks good, and asking about the cat, and we have a normal conversation about nothing important. It feels good to talk without all the weight of everything that happened sitting between us. June brings a call from Victor, saying the final payment came through from the bank's insurance settlement. This covers the remaining amount my girlfriend hasn't paid yet from her paychecks, which means all the legal stuff is completely finished now. He confirms that I'm totally free of the financial mess and don't need to worry about any more claims or issues. I thank him for everything he did, and we agree to grab lunch sometime, though we both know we probably won't. After hanging up, I sit in my kitchen and let it sink in that this whole nightmare is actually over from a legal standpoint. The relief feels physical, like I can breathe deeper than I could before. I decide to take myself out to dinner at a nice steakhouse downtown to celebrate being done with all of it. I get dressed up a bit and drive over, planning to sit at the bar and order whatever I want without worrying about the cost. I'm waiting for a spot to open up when I hear someone say my name, and I turn to see Dawn from the wedding venue standing there with shopping bags. She asks how I'm doing, and I realize I can honestly tell her I'm doing well. We chat for a few minutes about nothing much, just small talk about the weather and summer plans. Then Dawn mentions she's seen my girlfriend around town recently, and she looks like she's struggling, working 2 jobs to pay off all her debts. I feel this small flicker of sympathy hearing that, but mostly I just feel relieved that her problems aren't mine to deal with anymore. Dawn seems to pick up on my reaction and changes the subject, asking if I still play golf. I tell her about the trip and she smiles, saying it sounds like I'm doing better than the last time she saw me. A spot opens at the bar, and I excuse myself, settling onto a stool and ordering a whiskey while I look over the menu. The bartender brings my drink, and I raise it slightly to myself, a private toast to getting through the worst of it, and coming out the other side still standing. July starts with my phone lighting up while I'm grilling burgers in the backyard. My stepdaughter's name flashes on the screen and I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. She sounds excited, talking fast about getting promoted to team lead at her marketing job. I lean against the deck railing and listen to her describe the new responsibilities and the raise that comes with it. We end up talking for over an hour about her work projects, her apartment search for a bigger place, and her cat's weird habit of stealing hair ties. It feels almost normal, like we're just 2 people catching up instead of 2 people carefully avoiding the massive explosion that happened between us. When we finally hang up, I realize I'm smiling, and that surprises me more than the phone call itself. A few days later, she texts, asking if we could meet for coffee sometime. I agree, and we pick a place halfway between our locations, a casual spot with outdoor seating. She shows up looking more put together than I've seen her in years, wearing actual work clothes instead of the yoga pants she used to live in. We order drinks and sit at a table under an umbrella, making small talk about the heat and traffic. Then she gets quiet for a minute before asking if I'd be willing to meet her fiancé eventually, that they're talking about trying again with the wedding in a year or 2. She says they want to do it right this time, smaller and more personal, and she'd really like me to be part of it. I tell her I'd be open to that when the time comes, and I actually mean it. Something about her tone is different now, less entitled and more genuinely hopeful. We finish our coffee and hug goodbye in the parking lot, and she thanks me for giving her another chance, even though I'm not sure that's what I'm doing. August brings this unexpected peace that settles over everything. I fall into a routine that's entirely mine, without having to consider anyone else's schedule or needs. I sleep in on weekends, eat cereal for dinner when I feel like it, and leave my golf clubs in the living room without anyone complaining. One of the guys from the golf course sets me up on a blind date with his wife's friend, and I figure why not. We meet for drinks and talk about normal things like favorite restaurants and travel plans. It doesn't go anywhere serious, but it reminds me what it's like to meet new people without carrying around this massive weight of complicated history. I go on a few more dates over the next couple weeks, nothing that sticks, but just the act of putting myself out there feels good. I'm remembering parts of myself that got buried under all the family drama and financial stress. Liam stops by one Saturday with pizza and beer, and we end up watching a game in my living room. During a commercial break, he looks over at me and says, "I seem lighter somehow, more like the person I was before the relationship consumed so much of my energy." I ask him what he means, and he shrugs, saying I used to laugh more and stress less, that I'd gotten so wrapped up in trying to prove my worth through money that I forgot I had value beyond my wallet. He's right, and hearing him say it out loud makes something click into place. I've reclaimed parts of myself I'd forgotten existed, the parts that aren't defined by being someone's provider or father figure. We finish the pizza, and I realize I haven't thought about my ex or the wedding disaster in almost a week. September rolls around, and I'm at the grocery store when my phone buzzes with a text from my stepdaughter. It's the anniversary of when her wedding was supposed to happen, and she's acknowledging it directly, instead of pretending the date doesn't exist. She writes that she's grateful everything fell apart because it forced her to grow up and see reality clearly instead of living in her fantasy world. She says she spent too many years expecting other people to take care of her and make her happy, and the wedding disaster was the wake-up call she needed. I read the message twice while standing in the cereal aisle, then text back that I'm proud of her for doing the hard work of figuring herself out. She responds with a heart emoji, and I pocket my phone, feeling something warm and unexpected in my chest. 2 weeks later, we meet for coffee again, and she tells me she's been in therapy, working through her relationship with her biological father. She talks about understanding why she idealized him, how his absence made him perfect, because he never stuck around long enough to disappoint her in the daily ways that real parents do. She's starting to accept that he'll always let her down, and that's his failure, not hers or mine or anyone else's. Watching her talk about this stuff with actual self-awareness instead of defensiveness makes me realize she really has grown up. She asks how I'm doing, and I tell her about the dates I've been on, about feeling like myself again. We laugh about my terrible dating stories, and she gives me advice like we're actual friends instead of two people walking on eggshells. Before we leave, she thanks me for being the stable parent, even when she didn't appreciate it. She says she hopes to have the kind of integrity I showed by standing up for myself instead of letting people walk all over me. It's the most mature conversation we've ever had, and I leave the coffee shop feeling genuinely hopeful about our future relationship. Not the forced family dynamic from before, but something more honest and equal. I drive home with the windows down and the radio up, and for the first time in months, I'm not carrying around this heavy anger about everything that happened. October brings news through a text from my stepdaughter that her mother completed her community service and is doing well on probation. She mentions her mom is in therapy too, working on understanding why she made such destructive choices and learning how to handle stress without panicking. I'm glad they're both getting help because they clearly need it, but I don't feel any pull to reconnect with my ex. That relationship taught me important lessons about boundaries and self-respect that I won't forget, and I'm not interested in revisiting that chapter of my life. I text back something supportive but non-committal, and my stepdaughter seems to understand that I'm drawing a line there. The house is completely mine now in a way it never was before. I've replaced furniture and repainted rooms until nothing reminds me of my ex. My golf buddies come over regularly for card games and nobody has to tiptoe around anyone's feelings. I'm sleeping better than I have in years, and my bank account is slowly recovering from all the legal fees and stress spending. The weight I'd been carrying around for months has lifted, and I can breathe deeper, think clearer, exist without this constant low-level anxiety about money and betrayal and family drama. By November, I'm in a genuinely good place emotionally and financially. My friendships are stronger because I'm not neglecting them to deal with relationship chaos. My relationship with my stepdaughter is rebuilding on healthier terms where we're both showing up as real people instead of playing roles we thought we were supposed to fill. I take myself out to a nice dinner to celebrate making it through the worst year of my life and coming out the other side still standing, and I raise a glass to the future, feeling lighter than I have in a decade. I meet Sarah at a coffee shop in December, just a casual thing set up through mutual friends who thought we'd get along. She works as a teacher and has this calm way of talking that makes me feel like I don't need to perform or prove anything. We talk about normal stuff like books and travel and our families without any heavy drama or complicated history weighing down the conversation. When she asks about my past relationships, I give her the basic outline without going into all the painful details, and she listens without judging or trying to fix anything. We go out again the following week to see a movie and grab dinner, and I realize I'm actually enjoying getting to know someone new instead of feeling anxious about whether I'm doing enough or being enough. Sarah has her own apartment and her own life and doesn't need me to rescue her or fund her dreams, which feels refreshing after years of being treated like an ATM. I take things slow because I'm still figuring out what I actually want from a partner, instead of just falling into old patterns of trying to prove my worth through money and support. We text throughout the week and make plans for New Year's Eve. Nothing fancy, just dinner at her place and watching the ball drop on TV. For the first time in years, I'm thinking about what makes me happy instead of what other people need from me. Looking back now at everything that happened with the wedding and the fraud charges and all that chaos, I can see that walking away was the smartest thing I ever did. Yeah, I lost a 10-year relationship and $20,000 and a lot of time I'll never get back, but I got something way more important. I learned that I deserve to be treated with respect and appreciation, not just used as a wallet when convenient, and were ignored when it comes to actual family status. My house is mine again, my bank account is recovering, and my friendships are stronger because I'm not constantly stressed about relationship drama. The relationship with my stepdaughter is slowly rebuilding on terms that feel more honest and equal, where we're both showing up as real people instead of playing roles we thought we had to fill. Sarah treats me like a partner instead of a resource, and that difference changes everything about how I approach dating and relationships now. I'm not perfect, and I still have moments where I wonder if I should have handled things differently, but mostly I feel lighter and clearer about who I am and what I'm worth. Self-respect and clarity about what you deserve turns out to be worth a whole lot more than any wedding or relationship built on taking advantage of someone's generosity.